They say that silence is empty, but anyone who has ever known true grief knows that they are wrong. Silence is heavy. It has a weight. It can press down on your chest until you forget how to breathe. It can fill a room until there is no space left for hope. For 93 days, the sanctuary of silent pause was drowning in the heaviest silence we had ever known. It came from enclosure 4. Kiran, a Bengal tiger cub, had not made a sound in 3 months. Not a growl when the veterinarians cleaned his enclosure. Not a whimper when the thunderstorms rolled in. And definitely not the soft, rumbling chuff that tigers use to say hello to the ones they love. At 6 months old, Kiran was a ghost in an orange coat. His fur, which should have been burning bright, had faded to the color of old dust. He spent his days lying in the far corner of his pen, his massive paws tucked beneath a chest that barely rose, staring at a concrete wall as if waiting for it to open up and swallow him whole. Dr. Priya Sharma, our head veterinarian, had spent 20 years healing animals broken by human cruelty. She had seen elephants weep and leopards tremble. But as she stood by the glass of Kiran's enclosure, wiping a tear from her cheek, she whispered the truth that none of us wanted to admit. "He isn't dying of an infection," she said, her voice shaking. "He is dying of a broken heart." Kiran had seen his mother killed by poachers. He had learned at a tender age that the world was a cruel, violent place. And in response, he had simply decided to stop participating in it. He was fading away, ounce by ounce, day by day. If you are watching this story unfold, and you can feel that heaviness in your own chest, if you know what it's like to feel a grief so deep that words fail you, then you are exactly where you need to be. Please, take a moment to click the subscribe button for Eternal Bonds. We are more than just a channel. We are a family of people who believe that love is the strongest medicine in the world. By subscribing, you aren't just watching a video. You are helping us find the lost, the broken, and the silent and bringing them home. Join us. Let's prove that no soul is ever too far gone to be saved. While Kiran was fading into the dark, a different kind of tragedy was unfolding at our gates. It was 2 in the morning on a violent, stormy night. Maya, a young caretaker who had found refuge in the sanctuary from her own troubled past, was finishing her rounds when she heard it. It wasn't a roar. It was a sound so thin, so fragile, it felt like it might shatter in the rain. A cry, high-pitched and desperate. Maya ran to the main gate. There, sitting on a cold stone, soaking wet, was a cardboard shoebox. It was trash day. Someone had thrown it away like garbage, but the box was moving. Maya lifted the lid and her heart broke. Inside was a kitten, but he didn't look like a kitten. He looked like a scrap of wet orange yarn. He was shivering so violently that his tiny teeth were chattering. He was malnourished. His eyes were glued shut with infection, and his back left leg was twisted at a sickening angle, a birth defect that had likely marked him for death. He had been discarded, thrown away because he wasn't perfect. Maya scooped him up, tucking him inside her jacket against her warm skin. He weighed less than a whisper. But as she held him, this broken, dying thing did something impossible. He opened his mouth and screamed again. He demanded to be heard. He had been thrown away, but he was refusing to be garbage. She named him Pip. For weeks, Maya nursed Pip back from the brink. His leg would never be normal. He would always have a funny, hobbling walk, but his spirit was unbreakable. He was a force of nature wrapped in orange fluff. But Maya couldn't stop thinking about the silent tiger in the isolation wing. Kiran was getting worse. He was starving himself. Then she saw it. One evening, while she was feeding Pip near the observation window, Kiran's ear twitched. For the first time in 93 days, the tiger looked at something. He was looking at the kitten. Maya had a crazy, dangerous, beautiful idea. "He needs a friend," she told Dr. Sharma. "The broken boy needs a broken brother. It went against every protocol. You do not put a 2-pound kitten in with a 400-pound predator. It is madness. But we were desperate. We were losing Kiran. So on a Tuesday morning, with our hearts in our throats and tranquilizer guns ready, we opened the gate. Pip stood in the massive enclosure. He looked at the trees. He looked at the pool. And then he saw the orange mountain in the corner. Kiran lay like a statue, a wall of muscle and teeth. Pip didn't run. He didn't hide. With a fearless, hobbling gait, the kitten began to walk straight toward the tiger. Every person in the observation room held their breath. 5 feet, 3 feet, 1 foot. Pip walked right up to the massive head of the grieving tiger. He sniffed Kiran's wet nose. And then, with the casual confidence of a king, the kitten climbed onto the tiger's massive paws, turned around 3 times, curled up against his chest, and closed his eyes. Kiran froze, his muscles tensed. Maya gripped the railing, her knuckles white. Was this it? Was this the end? Kiran lowered his massive head. He sniffed the tiny orange intruder. He took a breath, a deep, shuddering breath that seemed to fill his lungs for the first time in months. And then it happened. A sound. It started deep in the tiger's chest, low and rusty, like an engine that hadn't been turned on in years. It grew louder and louder, vibrating through the floor. Rumble. Kiran was purring. For the first time in 93 days, the silence was broken, not by a roar of anger, but by a song of love. The tiger wrapped his giant paws around the kitten, pulling him closer. Tears streamed down Maya's face. The tiger wasn't eating the kitten. He was protecting him. The boy who had lost his mother had found a baby who needed a father. They became inseparable. They healed each other. It was perfect. Until the morning Maya walked in and found the silence had returned. Pip was lying on the floor, gasping for air. His gums were blue. Kiran was pacing around him, letting out high-pitched, panicked cries. The tiger was frantic. He nudged Pip with his nose, begging him to get up. Please, get up. The diagnosis was devastating. Pip's twisted leg wasn't his only defect. He had a hole in his heart. His heart was failing. He needed open-heart surgery, a procedure that cost more money than the sanctuary had seen in 5 years. We had a choice. Let the kitten go or find a miracle. But as we looked at Kiran, who had returned to his corner, refusing to eat, pressing his head against the wire fence, we knew the truth. If Pip died, Kiran would die too. He wouldn't survive the grief a second time. We reached out to everyone, and then the phone rang. Months earlier, a wealthy businessman from Singapore had tried to buy Kiran for a private collection. We had refused him, telling him that money couldn't buy a soul. He had been watching our live stream. He had seen the tiger grieving for the kitten. He had seen a love that his millions had never been able to purchase. I will pay for the surgery, he told Dr. Sharma, his voice thick with emotion. Save the kitten. Please, don't let the tiger be alone again. It was a redemption. The man who wanted to possess the tiger was now saving him by saving his best friend. The surgery was a long shot. But Pip was a fighter. He had survived the storm. He had tamed a tiger. He wasn't going to let a bad heart stop him now. When the van pulled back into the sanctuary 3 days later, Kiran smelled it before he saw it. He stood up. His ears swiveled. He let out a roar that shook the birds from the trees, a roar of pure, undiluted joy. Maya opened the crate. Pip was groggy, wearing a little bandage on his shaved chest, looking smaller than ever. Kiran didn't run. He moved with a gentle, fluid grace that defied his size. He approached the kitten as if he were made of glass. He lowered his head. Pip reached up with a weak paw and batted the tiger's nose. Boop! Kiran let out a breath that sounded like a sob. He collapsed onto the ground, curling his body around the kitten, creating a fortress of fur and warmth. He began to groom Pip's face, licking away the smell of the hospital, washing away the fear, and then the sound returned. The vibration shook the floor. The tiger purred, and the kitten purred back. A symphony of survival. That was 3 years ago. Today, Kiran is a 400-pound majesty of the jungle. He could crush a bone with a single bite, but he is ruled by a 10-pound cat with a funny walk and a mended heart. They still sleep that way every night. The giant and the tiny, the predator and the prey, the broken and the healed. They taught us the most important lesson of all, that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. You don't have to be whole to help someone else heal. Sometimes our broken pieces are exactly what fit into someone else's empty spaces. Kiran saved Pip from a cardboard box. But Pip saved Kiran from the silence. There are so many more stories like Kiran and Pip's waiting to be told. So many lives waiting for a second chance. But we can't open those gates without you. If this story touched your heart, if it made you cry or smile, please click that subscribe button. Join Eternal Bonds. Share this video with someone you love, someone who needs to know that no matter how dark the silence gets, love is always loud enough to break it, because somewhere out there, a tiger is waiting. And with your help, we can find his kitten. Good night, Kiran. Good night, Pip. And thank you for watching.